Okay, the Challenge Cup final is finished. Warrington have decisively beaten St Helens 18 points to 4. I will say this, there are two very, very, very shocking refereeing decisions in this game which affect both sides. The scoreline and the outcome could have been a very different story had both those tries correctly been given. Hicks, the referee, and Ben Thaler, the video referee, really poor today. They missed several instances of suspicious foul play as well, and we can discuss all the controversy. But I will say this about St Helens: they outplayed themselves. They beat themselves. Their amount of mistakes and error rate is the scoreline in reverse. They made about 18-19 errors compared to Warrington's 5. So the scoreline reflects the error rate if you reverse it. But let's have a look at the match review, shall we? In the first half, within 2 minutes, Farge has put a kick through, and Knowles believes he scored a try. It should have gone upstairs. It was a try had it actually gone to the video ref. Richard Hicks, the referee, not interested. 22-metre dropout. Goes for the dropout. Should have been 4-0 to St Helens within the first 2 minutes. First shocking refereeing decision of the day. There is no doubt in my mind that should have gone upstairs and should have been given a try. The disallowed try for the knock-on, that is a correct decision. They took a long while to get that one right, and St Helens were the better side for the first quarter of an hour. They were on top. They were dominating the pace, the territory, the pace of the game, the territory, the possession. They were the better side. They were showing far more in attack, and Warrington's defence just was an immovable object. And then Joe Philbin. Warrington's game plan was to keep it tight and not, I wouldn't say conservative, but they relied heavily on their forward pack because of the injury to Blake Austin in the halves. So they didn't only have one half-back really, an out-and-out half-back, which affected their kicking game. Rashford in defence was at full-back, in attack he was in the halves, so it affected their attack somewhat. So they kept it a bit more, I wouldn't say conservative, but structure with the forwards, and that's where they won the game. Joe Philbin's try, he sees a gap, and he scored the try that sent them through from the semi-final, and he scored the first try of the final. Brilliant try. He sees a gap and he powers over the line, and you're not going to stop a bloke like that from that far out who's built up a head of steam. It's a brilliant try, and Rashford converts. The Murdoch-Masilla try, again, it's just up the middle with the forwards. They're keeping it tight. They're not being overly expansive. They're wearing down St Helens with just keeping the ball tight, and they completed more sets. Their set completion was higher. They had more possession. They made a lot less mistakes. They made 2 mistakes in the first half to St Helens 10. So that tells you something about how this game was going. Was the mistake rate was crucial as well. Ben Murdoch-Masilla's try, you're not going to stop him when he gets ahead of steam, and he carried several players over the line with him in defence. Big beast for man. Rashford converts again. It's 12-0 at half time. St Helens were the better side for the first 25 minutes. They looked shell-shocked with those 2 tries. There was a disallowed try. There was the try that should have been, that wasn't given, and that's going to be repeated in the second half for Warrington as well, with a try that should have been given for a really bizarre, apparently obstruction penalty. Now, Warrington come out the blocks in the second half, and Lynham has a try disallowed because Bryce Goodwin, apparently he makes contact. If slightly brushing his arm on his leg like that is obstructing the defender, I don't know what planet Ben Thaler is on, but Nguama has already initiated contact and made the tackle has begun to make the tackle on Lynham, and the other defenders are not impeded by Bryce Goodwin playing the ball. That rule, that is not obstruction. The video ref goes, he's brushed his arm has brushed his leg. Bryce Goodwin is not preventing the St Helens defenders from attempting to make the tackle. Not at all. Not in the slightest. Lynham has not deliberately initiated contact with Goodwin. Nagama has already initiated contact before his arm brushes against Bryce Goodwin. That is a BS rule. I know it's in the rule book, but that should not be the reason why that try is disallowed. They didn't even look to check to see if the grounding was there. Really poor by the video ref Ben Thaler, but I don't rate Ben Thaler as an official. Every game I've seen of his, he's made countless errors. Makinson then goes up the other end and is on the receiving end of a great bit of counter-attacking play by one of the best bits of play in the match, and that try is correctly disallowed because he knocks it on. They've had 2 tries disallowed for knock-ons. They weren't controlled in possession. They didn't look after the ball as much as Warrington. Warrington really looked after the ball. Makinson, diving effort, but Bryce Goodwin puts in a solid tackle and makes sure he makes contact with the arm. Oh yeah, he makes sure his hand and forearm collides with Makinson's to dislodge the ball. It's a brilliant diving tackle by Bryce Goodwin. Farge gets a try, sniping. Again, another bit of good play by St Helens, but it took them 56 minutes to score. So they're chasing the game in the heat, and the mistake rate is going up. Their rate of errors is going through the roof at this point. We're over double figures now at this point. And the game was very similar to last year's Challenge Cup final where Catalan won. It was very unstructured, it was very open at times, very sloppy, and Warrington made a few mistakes, but when they did make mistakes, they made up for it by solid defence. St Helens made mistakes and allowed Warrington back, to keep ahead in the game. St Helens, looked more threatening in attack on both wings. Makinson was carrying a lot of ball, but Lynham and Shanley were also doing their job for Warrington in a similar way. The Darryl Clark try, he is the Lance Todd Trophy winner, only the third hooker since 1946 to win the award. Sniping run again from dummy half. He was doing it all game. He was quick play the ball, and that is a brilliant try. He then makes up for it with a brilliant tackle as well at the end of the game to deny St Helens another try. But as I said, if Warrington got in front, they would have a chance to win this game, and they did that. St Helens were always chasing. Lachlan Coote at fullback had a nightmare. He missed the conversion for the Farge's try, right nearly in front of the post, skews it wide. Plenty of knock-ons, several really embarrassing knock-ons for a player of Lachlan Coote's quality. He's played in the NRL at a high level. He's won a NRL grand final with the North Queensland Cowboys. He was poor today. Warrington's kicking game wasn't brilliant. They kept going to the corner in the shade rather than the corner in the sun. Bizarre, but I think that was a game plan to constantly target the younger winner. Makinson's too good under the high ball. Target Grace instead. They did that. Keep the young guy under pressure. Their kick chase was good. St Helens, they beat themselves. I think they were frustrated that Knowles' try wasn't given. If they looked at the replay on 15 minutes on the big screen, and you could tell that was a blunder by Hicks not going upstairs to the TMO. Thaler's decision for Lynham's disallowed try again. Bryce Goodwin is not obstructing the defensive line. The defensive line are not strong enough to stop Lynham getting over the line and putting the ball down. So in both cases, we might have rule changes as well because of this, especially the Lynham try for what is obstruction. How much contact is initiated before it's obstruction? We might have a rule change because of this, and these controversies, are a thing that's been regularly happening. The London Scholars yesterday in a league game, forward pass, not the touch judge has shown it's forward, the referee says it's a try. So at all levels of rugby league, there's controversy with refereeing decisions this weekend. London Scholars, can't make the playoffs out of League One into the Championship because of a forward pass that wasn't given, and St Helens have been denied a clear try. And whether that would have changed the outcome of the game with the mistake rate that St Helens had, that's open to debate, but it would have made it a much more interesting game because St Helens would have been in front and Warrington would have been chasing. And bearing in mind the heat today was a killer. On a side note, I noticed a lot of empty seats at Wembley today. Upper tier half filled, one side of the upper tier empty. The lower bowl, lots of empty seats. There was criticism online for the RFL playing the Challenge Cup final on a bank holiday weekend. They should have either played it last weekend or next weekend. The criticism about the Challenge Cup final being played on a bank holiday weekend, that is going to continue. It's a shame because both sets of fans gave a great atmosphere today. You could tell it through the TV. You could tell there was passion there from the fan base. But I have to admit, playing a cup final on a bank holiday weekend with engineering works, King's Cross Station is shut, and how are you going to get from the north of England? Is Euston, St Pancras and are those stations going to be open? Are they going to be able to cope with the extra fans? I mean, that is a blunder by the RFL putting on a bank holiday weekend. I know the weather was good and that has helped the occasion, but last year there was criticisms of the final and the amount of empty seats with the lowest attendance since the war. This must be the second lowest attendance at Wembley since the war because so many empty seats. That's a poor showing by the RFL in organising. But on that side, St Helens was scrappy today. Mistakes all over the place.
Warrington weren't at their best. They were missing a lot of players. It was a bit of a makeshift half-back combination, but I tell you what, their tactics paid off, and that was a team effort. And Darryl Clark winning the Lance Trophy as the third hooker all time since 1946 to do it. So hookers don't tend to win that. They were missing Blake Austin. I think they were missing Blake Austin's kicking game a little bit. They were a little bit one-dimensional in the kick game, but the kick chase was what I think helped them They put St Helens under pressure. Some big hits going in this game as well. Thoroughly entertaining, if somewhat chaotic at times. It was a very open game at big parts of the second half. Both sets of players were blown out by 50 minutes. There were players struggling with the heat. But Warrington have come out on top and have won the first of the two finals of this season. Obviously, we've got the Super League Grand Final later on, I believe in October. That's something else to look forward to, but for now, there we go. Warrington deserved winners, but there were two tries that should have been given, and the refereeing, we're going to have possibly a rule change for what is obstruction, because that wasn't obstruction for Lynham. That should have been a try, and Knowles, that should have definitely gone upstairs, but they changed the fact when the video referee can get in the referees in and say, you want to go upstairs for this, we've seen something, rather than be it on the on-field official initiating going upstairs, because I think St Helens can be annoyed that wasn't taken upstairs. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the match. If you did watch it, if you didn't watch it, I suggest you rewatch the replay of the BBC iPlayer. It was a fantastically entertaining game, and you can see what I mean about the Knowles try that should have gone upstairs, and the Lynham try. You can tell me if that's obstruction or not, because that is not obstruction. That is Nagama's already initiated contact before Lynham, even slightly, if he does brush Goodwin's left leg. There we go. Thank you very much for watching. Please place your comments below if you are a neutral. I want to see what your thoughts are, and I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon. If you're new to the channel, please also drop a like and a subscribe if you like what you've seen. And for now, goodbye.